Hello, welcome to Hollywood Crime Scene. This is Rachel Fisher.
This is Desi, Jedeikin. Today we will be talking about a Hollywood legend. This is someone we've definitely hit on before in past episodes, and when he comes up, we've always said he needs his own episode. Well, today he gets it, and that star is Mickey Rooney.
Now this is part one.
This is part one, yes. Well, his own episodes, I should say, because there's definitely going to be more than one, because he has a long life. My sources for these episodes are Life is Too Short by Mickey Rooney. It's his memoir. And The Life and Times of Mickey Rooney by Richard A. Lertzman. I had to get a real biography because I know Mickey Rooney fabricates a lot of things in his life, but it's kind of funny how much the biography uses his memoir as a source. Because there's huge chunks that they quote from the memoir.
Yeah.
It's always funny when they do that.
I'm sure he's not lying about his entire life.
No. But I was shocked how much, because, when you're reading both, you were like, oh, that's from the memoir. I just read that.
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of going side by side. I'm actually listening to the audiobook. So I'll write from his memoir and then I'll listen through the sections of his life on the book, at 2 times speed.
Oh my God.
Which is crazy.
You're one of those people now.
This is the first time I've done it this way, but I couldn't get the book in Kindle.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I'll just get this audio, and I've never done it before this way, but it is kind of good as a backup to listen to after you've written something.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I would listen to a book while I'm writing, taking notes. That would be too difficult. But it's a good biography. Anyway, Mickey Rooney is one of those stars that has literally creeped me out my whole life.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I never have liked him.
Really?
No. First of all, he's one of those people, my whole life, I feel like he was 90. He always seemed really old.
Well, even if you see his stuff from when he's a child actor, he's like a 90-year-old man trapped in a child's body.
Yeah. So he always creeped me out. I don't really like people who are really need a lot of attention, especially men. And he always had that showbiz, I'm talented.
Honestly,
it's too much talent. I don't need that much talent.
Honestly, that's kind of why I thought he was really entertaining. Is because just because he's so over the top, and it's Mickey, it's not that serious.
I think, I feel like I can enjoy someone like that, but then it reaches a level where it's too sad for me because it's this deep reservoir of need.
Well,
do you know what I'm saying?
I will say that I'm highly entertained by him as this Hollywood figure. I mean, I'm so excited for this.
Yeah. I'm entertained by him in his life, but I just don't find him appealing. He needs too much. Liberace is over the top, but I can deal with him. I don't know why. There's something sad with Mickey. It makes me sad. Anyway, let's get to it.
Wait, is he still alive?
No, he's dead.
When did he die?
He died in 2012 or something.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. That's episode. That's not this episode. I think it was 2012. It's definitely the 2000s because he was old.
He was old.
He was really old.
I just couldn't remember if he had died yet or not.
Well, he was born in 1920. So he would have been 80 some. So it's not even that crazy old. If he died in 2012, he was 92. So, but yeah. Okay, let's get into it. Mickey Rooney was born Joseph Yule Jr. on September 23rd, 1920, on a dining room table in Greenpoint, Brooklyn. He was just 5 pounds when he was born, so he's always a small bean.
Yeah.
This little boy.
He's little.
He's little. According to him, his doctor said just after he arrived, "You've been resting for 9 months, kid. It's time to get to work."
And boy, did he.
Yeah, he pretty much did. 2 weeks later, he hit the vaudeville circuit with his parents. Nell Carter, not that Nell Carter. His mom's name is Nell Carter, too.
Oh, wow.
And Joe Yule Sr., his father, was a Scottish-born comic and vaudevillian, and his mother was a chorus girl and burlesque performer. She was called the end pony in the chorus line. The short girls went in the front line, and the real showgirls were in the back row. I didn't know that.
The real showgirls?
The real like the ones you were there to see were in the back row because they were all tall. So I guess at some point they would come out front.
Mm-hmm.
But the short ones were in front, I guess, at the beginning. And the end pony was the one who was on the very end. And that was her role.
Sabrina Carpenter in the front.
Yes.
Taylor Swift in the back.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, did you see that picture of them together?
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with that.
It reminds me of that one where Joe Biden was with Jimmy Carter.
Remember? And he
like the
so
perspective
little.
was so crazy.
I love it.
So Joe Jr. spent his babyhood in a tray inside a steamer trunk. Like that was his cradle, while his parents would perform on stage almost nightly. From the beginning, he was drawn to the theater lights and all the sounds and smells of the theater life as well. But as he grew older, he became aware of the more unpleasant aspects of his life: the smell of alcohol on his father's breath, the sound of arguments and cursing, and the sound of his mother's deep sobs. When a near 2-year-old Joe Jr. fell from a wooden spiral staircase and broke his leg, his father's drunken screamings were aimed at him. A short time later, he got diphtheria, and this angered his father even more. He was no longer drunkenly complaining about just Nell. Now it was Nell and her goddamn kid. It's your kid too, buddy. Joe Jr. was not even 2 years old when he got his big break, and it came about because of a sneeze. Now, he was constantly playing around the theaters as his parents worked. He was often hiding under something on stage to watch the show close up during the performances. One time he was hiding under a shoe shine stand, which was a set piece on stage, when he sneezed mid-show. The performer, a comedian named Sid Gold, stopped the show and pulled him out from this shoe shine booth. And he's like, "What are you doing back there?" And little Joe Jr. said he was just playing with his mouth organ. And the performer's like, "What does that mean?" And he took out his harmonica and just blew into it. And the audience erupted with laughter, and Joe Jr. was hooked. He ran to his mother off stage, worried about what his dad was going to do. And his dad was seething off stage as well, convinced that they were going to get fired. The biography has another version of the story claiming that at some point he went on stage during Sid Gold's act and mimicked him at a drum, and the audience was laughing, and then the guy looked behind him and he was like, "Hey, kid." But regardless of what happened, after the show, the producer wanted to keep Joe Jr. in the show, saying that he looked like, quote unquote, a midget, so it would be great. Now, this happens a lot to him in his early career in Hollywood, and it's kind of insane. We'll get into some of those moments.
That people think he is a man?
Little person? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. But he is so tiny. I'll get into it. But yeah. So Joe Sr. was hesitant, but agreed when he realized it would be $3 more a week. Now, Mickey claims that he wasn't even 2 yet when this all happened, which is insane to me, and I really find it hard to believe.
That he's got comedic timing.
That he's on stage at he literally says 18 months.
Come on.
I just don't believe that. It's this sounds like I make 3. 3 I'll give you.
3, yes.
I'm sorry. But he says that he was 18 months. The producer got him a song to learn and a custom tuxedo. He began to talk like a little adult as well. So at the age of 18 months, according to him, he makes his first official appearance on stage. Now he's going by Sonny Yule. That's his stage name. And he basically does this little patter with Sid Gold. Sid feeds him the straight lines, and Sonny responds. It's a joke that says, "Why does a fireman wear red suspenders?" Sid asks the Sonny, and he says with a wink, "To hold his pants up." And the audience roars at anything he does. Then he sings his song, which is he has this big breath, and then he starts to sing his ballad, and it's this whole shtick. He stumbles through the song, and the audience loves it, roaring for more. And Sonny Yule is a huge hit. The song is called Pal of My Cradle Days, and it's about someone realizing all his mom, who is now gray and old and wrinkled, did for him when he was a baby. And it's a real tearjerker. People are literally in tears when he sings this. And he's got a lot of chutzpah. He is a born performer. So he's officially on the vaudeville circuit as a nightly performer, and they even began putting him outside the theater in his tux to get people to buy tickets. This is supposedly at 2. It's like standing in the theater. Come on, get your tickets. I'm sorry, get your tickets.
Honestly, I kind of believe it. I'm just saying, if any 2-year-old could be acting like a little man trying to get you in the theater, it's Mickey Rooney.
Absolutely. So eventually some Karen reported him to authorities, and his dad actually told authorities that he wasn't a toddler. He was, quote unquote, a midget.
Stop
So he
it.
tries to tell authorities that he's actually an adult. This will be, like I said, an ongoing thing, and it's just like crazy to me. So luckily the producer was connected, and Mickey claims he went to see New York Governor Al Smith himself, who immediately was so charmed by Mickey that he gave him a work permit after he did some song and dance in his office. So to thank the governor, the producer of this production took the whole troupe to Sing Sing, the prison, to entertain the inmates. Mickey says, when the warden asked me if I'd like to sit in his nice electric chair, I did so in the absolute confidence that no one would throw the switch while I sat there. After all, everyone loved me, right? Except my father when he was drinking. Sorry.
Desi.
Sad sack. At the age of 3, that sounds like something I'd say.
I was gonna
Maybe
say,
that's why I hate him. He's too much like me.
Did you write that one, Desi?
Maybe except for my father. He would have pulled the switch. At the age of 3, Mickey began to notice his dad had a new habit his mom wasn't a fan of, and that was staying out all night and coming home drunk early in the morning to his mom screaming about his floozies. His dad was also very resentful of his son's success, and things got physically abusive in the home. But Nell's final straw was one day when she heard Mickey let out a high-pitched squeak backstage. She came over and she saw that Mickey had caught a chorus girl giving his dad a blowjob in the dressing room.
Oh, no.
At 3 years old.
Horrible.
She grabbed Joe Jr. and they left. They were off to Kansas City like immediately. So that was her final straw.
That ought to do it.
Yeah. So she's living with her sister now, and his parents are officially separated. It wasn't long before they divorced, and Nell began to establish a life in Kansas City, even opening up a chicken shack with a woman named Myrtle. Basically, like they had like a little Dave's Hot Chicken. They were like frying up chicken and making meals for families and giving them, selling them. And it was pretty successful. It actually made me really want fried chicken because I haven't had it in a while.
Me too.
But she was still following the entertainment industry, regularly reading Variety. And it was because of that she saw Hal Roach was looking for child actors for a recast of Our Gang. She thought, there's something about Sonny in the movies that just seemed right to me. Like he belongs in feature films. And it wasn't long before her, Myrtle, and Sonny were off to Hollywood. Now, much like Menudo, as the children aged on the Our Gang films, they got recast.
Right.
They were out. We got to do Our Gang, because I was
coming.
reading enough about it just briefly because I got down on rabbit hole and I was like, oh, this looks so good.
I know.
So they were usually replaced by local kids, actors in the LA area, but eventually Our Gang talent scouts, they would employ these large-scale national contests in which thousands of children would try out for an open role. This is how some of their bigger names got cast, including Norman Chaney, who played Chubby, Matthew Beard, who played Stymie, and Billy Buckwheat Thomas. They all won contests to get on get in these features. Hal Roach Production Company didn't have any more roles by the time that Nell and Joe Jr. arrived, but he liked Joe Jr. and offered him $5 a day to do background. And the mom turned it down, thinking, hey, they could get better. After all, the other kids are getting $25 a day. They didn't get better. They were broke now, and they had to go back to Kansas City, but they did return to Hollywood again a short time later. The competition to become a child star was really fierce at this time. Everyone wanted to be the next Jackie Coogan, who was like a co-star of Charlie Chaplin, amongst other things. And Sonny was enrolled into Daddy Mac's dance studio, learning to dance. And through that, he was hooked up with a man named Will Morrissey, who had a school for young talent and who also was kind of a casting agent type guy. This led to Mickey getting his first audition for a small musical revue, to which he wore a sailor suit and sang Pal of My Cradle Days, and everyone was losing it at his performance. And he gets hired for $50 a week, so this is huge money for them. And he's 5.5 years old at this point, and he's the breadwinner in this family. In the LA Times review of the show, Sonny was singled out with praise, but unfortunately his run only lasted 3 weeks due to child labor laws. Now, I just want to bring up here something interesting I was reading about and just in this book, that it does appear there were child labor laws at the time. They just weren't really enforced.
Yeah.
But obviously, richer entities like Hollywood studios had ways of working around them. And I think smaller productions like this just kind of followed the rules more because it does seem like all over the place.
Right.
Anyway, Joe Jr. was back on the hunt for his next gig, and money was tight, obviously. And this is an excerpt from his memoir. He says, "It was about the same time that I lost my innocence. When the money stopped coming in, my mother got desperate. I wasn't even 6 years old, but I knew something had changed. Mother was starting to see a lot of different men, entertaining them in our little apartment. I'd wake up in the middle of the night and hear the tinkling of glasses. Next night, I'd hear whispers and squeals and moans. Once I got up and peeked from the hallway corner into the living room to see money changing hands. Carefully, quietly, I tiptoed back to my room, threw myself on the bed, and covered my head with a pillow. I know, my dear mother, you did it for me."
He said that?
That's what he said at the end of the
Aw.
chapter. Mudda.
Oh, he said mutta?
No, that's what I imagine. He always writes so like he's still like in the 1920s.
I know.
You did it for me. He finally does get his big break in a movie called Not to Be Trusted. So he met with a producer who couldn't believe Mickey was not even 3. Well, that's because he was not even 3. He was close to 6 at his point, but his mom told him to lie because he was so small, and she's like, that will make you more memorable. So now he's actively lying about his age.
Yeah.
And he was hired and paid $5 and was officially in the movies. So this is a dream role for me because I was always obsessed with these kind of roles when I was a kid. And that's when like a gangster, it's a real gangster, but they look like a little child.
Yes.
And they're like in the baby buggy, but they
Yeah.
have a machine gun or something. And this was that type of role. He was playing a con man pretending to be a kid so he could get adopted by a rich couple. Once he got in the mansion, he'd help his cohort so they could rob them of all their diamonds and rubies. He also had to smoke a cigar in the movie. And so there's a scene where he's like smoking a cigar as they're robbing his doting foster parents. He's like, let's get the job done quick. Let's get it done quick and over with. And he's just smoking a cigar while he's doing
Wait,
this.
what's this movie called?
It's called, what is it called? Not to Be Trusted. I guess it's a baby. Don't trust that baby.
Is it still around or did it get lost?
It's like a silent film. Like it's not, I don't know. These are like short movies.
But this sounds like among the movies that got lost to time. Like they were destroyed.
Yeah, I don't know if it's still around, but it's not that old. It's like from the 20s, but it is like a silent short.
But there are all these silent shorts that got destroyed and were never recovered.
I don't know. Because the other guy in it, he's not that famous to me either. But the director and cameraman and other members on the cast treated him, he said, like a midget, not like a kid. They'd say, get that midget over here. We're ready for the midget now.
Oh, my God.
And that's why they would literally give him a real cigar. They would light it and put it in his mouth to smoke because they thought he was an adult.
Oh, my God.
I was like, no one said anything.
I mean, that's why his voice is so raspy.
Yeah. So on the set, Nell met a woman named June Levere, who was a great source of juicy gossip and info on everything in Hollywood. She had a notorious reputation because she was the mistress to a very famous Cadillac dealer, which I feel like is a great biography.
That's a good gig.
She had tons of connections, of course, and she told Nell her friend, director Al Vital, needed a midget for his upcoming movie and thought Sonny would be perfect. She's like, sorry, though, for calling your son a midget. And Nell was like, it's okay. It's pretty normal around here. He does get the part, and he has a scene with Colleen Moore. Now, this is very similar. This is called like a gag in the silent film era. So this is purely done to have this laugh. So Colleen Moore plays a telephone operator. She's at like this desk, and someone enters and she hears like a voice, and then she doesn't see anybody because he's short. And then all of a sudden, a straw hat gets raised high on a cane so that she can see it. And she's like, "Ah, gee, baby, it's like this kid who's like sweet talking her. He's like, I'm going to get you an ermine coat, sugar." And he's like, has a cigar in his mouth and he's like tapping the cigar. And she's like, "Oh, you're a fresh young thing." And he like winks into the camera and like walks off. Like,
Oh my
that's his
God.
bit. Mervyn LeRoy, he's like a director, and he kind of wrote this gag. He was considered a gag expert on the set, and he was thrilled with how well this went. And he was like, "I got more gags to come for you." Like, he's like, "I'm writing tons of little person stuff in your future." So, unfortunately, according to Mickey, he was now typecast as this type of role.
Is he still going by Joe Jr.?
Yeah. I think Joe Jr. and sometimes Sonny, but I think officially now it's Joe Jr. So there weren't that many roles available for that type, obviously. And whatever roles that were available were like these type of gags sort of making fun of his height, not really an opportunity to do like real character performances.
Or just play a kid?
Yeah, exactly. So luckily, a competitor to Our Gang was in the works. This was based on a comic strip called Toonerville Trolley, and they needed a tough little guy to play the character of Mickey McGuire. So Joe Jr. and his mom immediately got on the case prepping for this audition. They even dyed his hair black to look more like Mickey in the comic strip. He got the part and finally was making consistent money because they were churning these out, and he kind of became well known at this point. He even claims he gave an unknown artist some inspiration. He says in his memoir that he ran into this artist on a soundstage, they began chatting, and he recognized the kid who played Mickey McGuire. Then he showed him what he was working on, and it was a mouse. He said he was going to name the mouse Mickey after him, and that artist was Walt Disney.
Come on.
Now, this is debunked. So Mickey always told this story, but it's not true. Walt Disney's wife Lillian was the one who suggested the name Mickey after he originally was going to name it Mortimer. And she's like, "No, you can't.
And Mortimer
That's
Mouse.
Evil. No one wants that." And then he did use Mortimer, I guess, for another character later. There's also a timing issue. I guess he had the character Mickey McGuire, but he hadn't officially changed his name yet at this point. I think it was 1928. So I don't know. But yeah, I don't think that story is true, but he told it his whole life. So now
That's a pretty bold thing to lie about.
When you read his memoir, if you ever look at it, it's all about how great he is. Like, every story is like, "And everyone loved me." There's never like a real negative story, or if there is a negative thing, it's like, "I didn't do that, but everyone else loved me." Like, you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
It's like, okay. None of your wives did, I don't think. So Mickey is now enrolled at Ma Lawler's professional school for children, and he had a real attitude problem. He was somewhat famous because of this role, and he kind of took on the character's attitude and like cursing, and he was like a real bad kid. One of his classmates at this time was a young Frances Gumm, who we know as Judy Garland, but they don't become super close at this moment. This school is kind of a joke, basically, there to like avoid child labor laws. So they're like, "Oh, we have them in school all day." But that wasn't exactly the case. That's one of those workarounds I mentioned earlier. But yeah, he kind of doesn't spend much time there, and he gets worse and worse. And his mom begins taking them to the church, a Christian Scientist church, because she's like, "I'm going to get you. You need to adjust your attitude.
What was
get
with
some God."
all the Christian Scientists in this era?
I don't know. I actually have a book on Mary Baker Eddy, the founder of Christian Science, that I was going to do at some point because she has a crazy life, and a biography came out last year or this year.
Is she from LA?
Yeah. So it's an LA story. I just haven't gotten to do it yet, but I don't know, because
it's like all these old Hollywood stars from like the golden age of Hollywood, it seemed like were in Christian Science.
Yeah. I mean, Jean Harlow is most famous at that time.
Joan Crawford.
Yeah, Joan Crawford. But Jean Harlow, I mean, they think that's what caused her death. Basically,
Right.
she didn't seek medical treatment. We'll definitely get into that at some point. But yeah, you're right. I don't know what it was.
It's like this phenomenon. It was like a
Yeah.
trend.
Yeah. It's like the early days Scientology or something.
Totally.
I don't know enough about Christian Science. But anyway, soon though the Mickey McGuire films ended and Nell and her son had to find the next gig. Mom ends up marrying a nice man named Win Brown, and Mickey kind of has a little normal life for a bit until he says he met an older girl named Anne. She was 11 and he was 10. So he says, according to him, one warm, lazy afternoon when her folks were out, she took me into her bedroom and lay back on her bed, slipped off her panties, and guided my hand to her soft, smooth bud.
Ew.
Sorry.
He
that's
called
gross.
it a bud?
Yeah. Now you do this and this and this. She showed me some things and then she invited me to lie down with her. Get on your knees between mine. Yes, like that. Oh, yes. And he said that's when he lost his virginity at 10.
Come on.
With an 11-year-old. So that's where he begins his like sexual Mickey, which we've heard a lot about.
Yeah.
And yeah. So who knows? I don't know Anne's side of the story.
Let's hear what Anne has to say.
She's like, we didn't do that, you liar. Don't call it a bud. What's wrong with you? I said, get out of here, bud. So he kind of was taking a break from films and was back on the vaudeville scene for a while when he was cast in a movie called The Information Kid. And this is when he officially starts going by Mickey Rooney. He's cast as this innocent orphan stable boy, and the movie filmed at Agua Caliente racetrack.
Agua Caliente?
Yeah. And it was here that he also made his first gambling bets, losing $16. In his book, he said, I've spent the rest of my life and millions of dollars trying to win that $16 back. End of joke. To this day, a lot of people believe because they want to that I've lost millions at the track. Millions of dollars? Ha! How can you lose millions when you're earning, as you will soon see, peanuts? Get off my back. Literally every chapter.
He's so defensive.
Well, yeah, we'll get into it at some point, but he does lose a lot of money gambling. And it's funny because he does end up playing a lot of jockeys. Like he's always in like horse movies. So it's like they were really pushing him towards it. So things seem to be going well. Mickey was not only working regularly, but he kind of had leveled up with big stars, like working with bigger stars like Walter Houston and Jean Harlow. A man who admired his talent named Frank Orsatti would even give him like a bigger boost by hooking him up with MGM, something Mickey thought would be life-changing. He was cast in an MGM movie called Broadway to Hollywood, but instead of being the beginning of a windfall of work, it actually started slowing down after this movie. People didn't really know what to do with Mickey as he became older. At the age of 13, was he already a has-been? We'll take a break here and be back with more. So rather than dwell on his work struggles, he begins focusing on tennis and he starts playing constantly, eventually adding table tennis to the mix. And it's through his table tennis that he would actually finally get his dream come true, a contract with MGM. At a table tennis tournament at the Roosevelt Hotel, the special referee that day was table tennis enthusiast David O. Selznick, and he was blown away by how engaging Mickey was throughout the day, keeping the audience in stitches through what was a pretty grueling experience. This was a really long day of tournaments. And he immediately ran to his boss and father-in-law, Louis B. Mayer, to tell him how sensational this kid was. He was cracking jokes. See, this is what would annoy me. I'm like, shut up. Let's get through the tournament. I need you like fucking taking center stage constantly. Mayer wasn't buying it though. He's like, if you love him so much, why don't you cast him in your next film? And David's like, fine. And he had a part written for him in his next movie, Manhattan Melodrama, starring Clark Gable, where he would play young Gable in flashbacks.
Young Gable?
Yeah. Why not? Now, this movie ends up becoming a big hit for an unusual reason. This was the movie that gangster and bank robber John Dillinger had seen when he was gunned down by authorities outside the theater.
Oh.
So everyone was like, what was that movie that he saw? And they all wanted to see the movie that Dillinger had seen right before he was murdered or killed. And this became a huge movie, and Mickey Rooney became like a little mini sensation. So he finally was offered this MGM contract. His mom was like, "We've arrived." And then she dumped her husband and like
Wow.
moved on from that. And this was actually devastating for Mickey because they had a real father-son bond, and he was kind of like upset about it. But he was about to be paid $150 a week, so that was good, I guess. Before his contract was officially like signed into law or whatever, he had a bit of
Into law. They
Yeah.
made a law. It's called Mickey's Law.
Mickey's law.
We
the
all
contract.
we all have to follow this law.
He had a bit of time off, which he spent playing tennis, but then a performance opportunity rose that everyone in Hollywood was abuzz about, and that was Max Reinhardt's production of A Midsummer's Night Dream at Hollywood Bowl. So he initially had a dream cast in mind, Max Reinhardt. He wanted to have Charlie Chaplin as Nick Bottom, Greta Garbo as Tatiana, Clark Gable as Demetrius, Gary Cooper as Lysander, John Barrymore as Oberon, W.C. Fields as Thisbe, Joan Crawford as Hermia, and Myrna Loy as Helena. And he wanted Fred Astaire for Puck. This is an insane cast expectation, first of all, because none of these people are going to work that hard for like way little money.
Yeah.
And he didn't get any of those people. So a lot of people wanted the role of Puck, including Mary Pickford wanted to play Puck.
I mean, who doesn't want to play Puck?
And a teenage Olivia de Havilland wanted to play Puck. So a trade paper announcement for open auditions for all parts came about, and MGM gave the okay for Mickey to audition for Puck. And everyone who saw him read agreed he was the perfect Puck. His background in vaudeville was like a real asset here because he could imitate any style. So even if he didn't really understand the dialogue, he could imitate it exactly how they wanted him to do it, which was just as good in a way.
I mean, honestly, he is the perfect choice for that role. He's like, for Puck, you have to be kind of annoying and like a sprightly.
Yes.
And he's both of those.
So so he gets that part. Olivia de Havilland does get cast as Hermia. And this is like a really legendary production. This was considered to be like on the scale of a small military operation. It had an ensemble of more than 400 artists, including 18 principals, 60 dancers, several hundred extras. The bowl was reconfigured for the occasion. The band shell was dismantled and put in storage, and they made a gigantic stage that was built and covered with green sod, heavy foliage. Oak trees were shipped in from Calabasas. This had rave reviews. Like, everyone was losing it. It was like that Jesus Christ Superstar thing they had last year where people were like dying.
Yeah.
And most people focused on the performance of Mickey Rooney as Puck as being like a standout. Even Luella Parsons was like, this kid's great. Best Puck ever. And you know, he's 13 years old at this time. So he's getting accolades like he's Olivier. Like, people are like, he's like the best actor of his generation. He's the hardest child star ever. This plays for like 40 nights at the Hollywood Bowl before going on tour. They're getting $300 a week, or he's getting $300 a week. And that's on top of his MGM salary. So he's like, I'm rich.
And he said it exactly like that.
I'm rich, Mom. Get rid of your husband. We don't need him anymore. Now at this time, Warner Brothers is trying to get into prestige pictures. They don't really do that kind of thing at this point. MGM's kind of that studio, and they get the film rights for this version by Max Reinhardt. This will star James Cagney as Bottom, and only Mickey Rooney and Olivia de Havilland are brought over from the stage production. And this is her first film role, by the way. And this movie is not exactly a critical or box office success, but the praise for Mickey Rooney was still universal, and he finally felt like a real actor. Have you seen this movie?
Of course. My great-grandfather worked on this film.
Oh, he did? Oh.
I have a picture of my great-grandpa with Mickey Rooney
on
set.
Should post that if we can.
We'll post it this week. And I have like scripts from this movie at my dad's house.
This seems like a really interesting production in general. I could have gone so far down a rabbit hole. I had to stop myself because I love this kind of stuff.
Right. This is actually, I like this. I mean, I'm biased, but I do like this film. I think it looks beautiful. I obviously, like, I love all things A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Yeah.
And I think this is a good film production of it.
I think like the sets and the visuals of it were praised at the time. I think it was just, I don't think it was panned. I think it was just not like the hit that the stage production was kind of thing. So even though he has this kind of huge success, back at MGM, he's still relegated to what are called B movies. Now, at the time, B movies were movies that studios would kind of use to try out new directors. They were very low budget, which meant that they often had huge profit margins. It was the B movies that often supported the studio's grander movie budgets, and they were kind of the real moneymakers. It would be a B movie that would launch Mickey Rooney finally into the stratosphere, and that movie was called A Family Affair and starred Lionel Barrymore as Judge Hardy. Now, the critics were not impressed with this movie, but moviegoers loved it, and it went on to gross $500,000. Much of that success was due to the smart alecky kid of Judge Hardy, Mickey Rooney playing Andy Hardy. So a sequel was soon in production with Anne Rutherford taking on the role of Andy's love interest, Polly Benedict. And it wasn't until the fourth movie that they actually started putting Andy Hardy in the title. And these would become known as Andy Hardy movies. I'll get into the fourth movie in a little bit. There will be, I think there's about 17 Andy Hardy movies.
Oh my
all.
God.
And they were a huge part of MGM's success during this period because they were very low budget and they were huge hits. Like they started earning like $3-4 million, which is a lot back then. Mayer also loved, obviously he likes the profits from these movies, but he also loved how wholesome they were. And he liked the fact that Andy respected his father and his mother. Mayer was a big mother lover. Now, Mickey tells some stories in his memoir about how much Mayer revered motherhood. He said that once John Gilbert told Mr. Mayer that he hated his mother because he said she was probably a whore, Mr. Mayer almost went nuts. He's like, "Get out of my office, I'll cut your balls off." And Gilbert's like, "Go ahead." He said that Mr. Mayer never gave Gilbert another part. There's also an incident with Erich von Stroheim. He made a very similar mistake, besmirching womanhood in front of Mr. Mayer. He said all women are whores, not just his mother, all of them. And Mr. Mayer hauled off and punched him in the nose. Now, this guy got blacklisted because of this, which I don't really give a shit about because why are you saying that? And he didn't get another directing job anywhere after this. His next time people saw him in Hollywood was when he played the chauffeur in Sunset Boulevard, starring Gloria Swanson. I did know he was blacklisted, but I had never heard what had happened. Now, while he's doing these movies, MGM would also rent him out to other studios for 2 to 3 times his salary. So they were making so much money off of him. They were paying him $150 a week and then renting him out for like $450 a week, but taking the extra money. And most roles he would be rented out for were jockey roles. I don't know what. I was like, how many jockey roles?
How many? Why are
like
there all these?
Mickey Rooney? There's a jockey role.
What are all these jockey movies?
So around this time, he gets reacquainted with his old classmate Frances Gumm, as well as a new gal on the lot, Judy Turner. You know them better as Lana Turner and Judy Garland. And he said something in his memoir that I thought was very funny. He said the name Judy didn't fit Miss Turner, and she would get Lana, but they thought, oh, that's good for Frances. Judy's like, it is true because it's like, why'd they take Judy away from her and give it to Frances?
Right.
I guess, yeah, Lana's definitely, they kind of knew where they were going, I guess. According to Mickey, Lana had the nicest knockers he'd ever seen.
My God.
And he wanted her. He said, my fantasies about her soon came true. When I asked her to go out with me, she said yes, and I soon found out that she was as oversexed as I was. Warm, passionate, soft, and moist in interesting places.
Interesting places?
Yeah, well, it's like, what, not her pussy, but somewhere else? Like, what
does that mean?
Her earlobes were wet. He said that he would make her breathless. that he could make her laugh on the dance floor and make her breathless on Mulholland Drive and vice versa.
Vice versa.
Yeah. So soon she called it off, though. And he didn't really know what had happened. At the time, he thought she just, outgrew him and didn't want to date him anymore. But he later learned from Lana that she had become pregnant. He knocked her up. He said the only people who knew at the time were her mom and the doctor who performed the abortion. I don't know why she hadn't told me, and I'm not sure about how I would have reacted knowing I had fathered a child. But he didn't find out until later, almost in passing. Lana and him had met at a fundraiser, and she's like, I smiled and said, I can't really believe we went out together. She said, did you know I was in a family way with you? And he was like, what? That's kind of crazy to break it that way. He said that he might have wanted to have her keep the baby, but he moved on from that, from Lana, and he started banging other women or girls, I guess, around the Hollywood lot.
So he's a teenager.
Yeah, he's still a teenager. He's like 15.
Yeah.
So he's going out with girls his age.
Right.
Well, some of them are older. So he said he started dating a girl named Catherine O'Kelly. And one time her mother met him at the door. And while Kitty that was her nickname, was getting ready, she sat him down on the couch and she said, how come you don't ask me out sometime? And he's like, huh? And he said, she explained it to him further by giving him a warm, wet kiss. And he said, oh. He said that night after he brought her daughter home at a proper hour, he went out to his car and waited. Then Mrs. O'Kelly came up about a half hour later, climbed in the front seat, and there was no mistaking her intentions, he said. She showed me how to do it in the front seat and the back seat.
And the back.
He also was dating a young starlet named Laura Smith. He said that affair ended as soon as it began at a drive-in movie in the Valley. Now, they pulled into this drive-in movie, and obviously this is like make-out city, right?
Yeah.
People go here to make out. Laura was nervous. About 10 minutes into the movie, he said he moved his right arm on the seat behind her and then in a gentle but careful way put his hand on her right shoulder to kind of push her closer. He said that he thought he scared her because she let out a big fat fart. He said we both froze, silence for an eternity. Then I put my foot in the mouth. I looked at her and I said, excuse me. That ended that night. You can't continue dating someone you fart in front of like that.
No.
Not on the first date.
I'm sure Mickey still would have done it with her.
Absolutely. At this time, he does become very close to Judy Garland. And she's in the phase, we talked about this in our episode. She just feels ugly. She feels fat. And this is largely due to the fact that Louis B. Mayer is literally calling her a pig. Like,
I mean, it's so funny when you're talking about Louis B. Mayer, like, being so defensive and protective of like mothers.
Yeah.
But he's like such a misogynist pig in every other way.
No, it's like performative or something. He's so mean to Judy. And Mickey says in his book, he's like, I would have fallen in love with her myself, but I was also tainted by the notion of what was hot. He also felt like there was hot girls and not hot girls. I was like, she's so cute, though. I'm just like so bothered by this.
I know.
So Judy,
that makes me sad.
I know. It's like a never-ending sad.
He didn't need to say that.
He's not a good friend. So Judy does get a big break at Clark Gable's birthday party where she sings You Made Me Love You to him and everyone is moved to tears. The very next day, she is cast in Broadway Melody of 1938 where she also sings You Made Me Love You to a picture of Clark Gable. They're next up in a movie called Thoroughbreds, and this kind of launches the duo of Judy and Mickey. Soon after, Love Finds Andy Hardy is in production. This is the fourth Andy Hardy movie I mentioned before, the first one where his name is in the title. And this one stars Mickey Rooney, Ann Rutherford, Judy Garland, and Lana Turner.
Uh-oh.
Mickey felt like Judy might be crushing on him. That's his opinion, because I think he thinks everyone is crushing on him. And he's kind of nervous because Lana's around. And he said that he felt like when he told Judy that they weren't together anymore, he felt like she seemed relieved. And he says in his book, not that Judy didn't envy Lana's glamorous good looks. He said that he thought a wistful smile on Judy's face when Lana passed her on the set. I imagined her saying, if only I could look like Lana. But of course she couldn't, not in her own eyes at least, or mine either. Like, he's like, if I only could have told Judy then that looks are the last thing in a young man ought to care about in a young woman. They ought to be way down in anyone's list of priorities, far below intelligence, sense of humor, a sense of self-esteem, generosity, selflessness, warmth, and caring for others. But I couldn't. I was also caught up myself in all the wrong values. It's like, thanks for telling us you knew you should have, but you didn't. So this movie was the most successful Andy Hardy movie yet, and Louis B. Mayer is delirious with the success. The only trouble is that he wanted Mickey Rooney to be Andy Hardy off screen too, and Mickey said in his book this was very unreasonable, especially considering that Louis B. Mayer had once tried to put the make on Shirley Temple's mom on his couch in his office. If you please. He was soon called into Mayer's office. He had been hearing stories about Mickey, who was out and about on the town, and he said that Mickey had never met a girl he didn't kiss. And Mickey tries to make a joke. He's like, kind of like the song, huh? When I'm not near the girl I love every girl I'm near. And he's laughing, but Louis B. Mayer is not laughing. He's not happy. And he's like, look, I'm not talking about kissing. I'm talking about fucking.
Ooh.
I don't want to hear Louis B. Mayer say fucking.
Ever.
And Louis B. Mayer warns him. He's like, you got to keep an Andy Hardy like public image. And Mickey starts to protest and he's like, you ungrateful runt. And he's like,
who said you ungrateful runt?
Louis B. Mayer to the runt.
I think it would have been funny if Mickey Rooney called him a runt.
Or ungrateful, too. Would have been really funny.
Yeah.
So he's like, I don't expect you to be Andy Hardy. I expect you to publicly be Andy Hardy. So everything else you do needs to be kept out of the press. So no more Ciros, drinking ginger ale and champagne flutes, because that's what Mickey said he was doing. He's like, it's just ginger ale. But Mickey was about to turn 18 and he wanted to stay in Mayer's good graces, especially after he was cast in a real prestige pick, Boys Town, starring Spencer Tracy. So Tracy would go on to win an Oscar for this role, and Mickey would get a juvenile Oscar, something they used to give out.
Yeah.
He got this award alongside Deanna Durbin. There was only 12 of these given out.
They stopped doing it. They stopped doing the kids' Oscar.
Judy Garland gets it the next year because that's after Wizard of Oz comes out. So he starts filming a movie next called Stablemates with Wallace Beery, and he has another iconic Hollywood experience. Beery took him to an Errol Flynn party.
Oh, no.
He said, I had the biggest surprise of the evening when we got to Errol Flynn's house. When we knocked on Flynn's door, it was opened by a pair of beautiful twins. Heh, said Flynn as we stumbled into his living room, bug-eyed. I guess he was on something. You like my greeters? How could we not like them? They were absolutely nude. I couldn't help glancing back for a second look. It's all right, dear boy, Flynn said, showing off for us and his other dinner guests. You can take another look. Take two. This guy's a pig.
So gross.
We need to do an episode on him, too.
I know. I know.
This movie he did with Beery wasn't a huge hit, but he was about to have another smash hit on the horizon with Judy Garland, and that is the musical Babes in Arms. So he really does praise Judy. He goes back and forth being mean about her and then talking, nicely about her. And he's like, she should have earned 3 times the salary I did, but I earned 3 times her salary. He talks about how she was just like an unmatched star, a professional, an unbelievable talent, who no one could rattle on set. Like they tried to tease her and she was just like a professional through and through. I mean, she truly is like an unmatched talent. So they were such a successful duo on Babes in Arms that Mickey actually joins Judy on the road to promote her upcoming film, The Wizard of Oz, which drops around the same time as Babes in Arms. So they're on a promotional tour before it comes out in August of that year. And Mickey ends up signing with the William Morris agency at this time, and he finally gets a good contract with MGM. He goes from 150 a week to 1,000 per week with a 25,000 bonus per film, and it goes up incrementally each year of the contract after that. So now he has real money, and with that came even more access to girls whenever he wanted, but he no longer had to deal with relationships because Milton Berle showed him the ropes of paying for sex in LA and introduced him to the T&M brothel. Now, I looked into this after reading this Milton Berle story, and it sounds like something that you talked about.
Yes.
It had a different name, though. Like the Francis something house?
I don't remember, but I did look into this because I wanted to do like a whole episode on it, and unfortunately there just was like not a ton of information.
Right. I probably went down the same rabbit hole because anyway, I'll get into the story and you'll see why I thought of what you were talking about. So he picks him up to go to this T&M brothel.
And he's like 18 now.
Yeah, he's 18. And this is the brothel where every woman is a dead ringer for a Hollywood star.
Right.
So you have Greta Garbo, lookalike Jean Harlow. He's like, there was a Norma Shear, like a more elegant brunette. Another gal could have been Clara Bow. He's like, I thought for a moment, maybe it was Clara Bow. After all, she had hit some hard times.
Jesus Christ.
I was like, that would be devastating. And he said when he couldn't make up his mind, they were all so gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like they would have plastic surgery to look more like these Hollywood stars. So they really, it was like, wow. And Berle at some point taps the brunette who looked like Clara Bow on the shoulder and went off into one of the rooms with her. He's like, come on, kid, I want to show you how it's done.
No.
So he said that he didn't initially want to go in, but his curiosity got the better of him. He swung the door open, in which Berle had disappeared behind, and found him with his clothes off, a towel around his middle, with Clara Bow also wearing nothing but a towel, kneeling in front of him, holding a wash basin. In the basin was a purple solution and a bar of Camay soap. Berle grinned up at me. Look, kid, borscht and a boiled potato. He said, I ducked back into the room and said to myself, if the Andy Hardy fans could only see me now. Now, I was very confused by borscht and a boiled potato because I was like, is that his dick? But
Berle is the potato.
No. Though I think he meant the purple solution and the Camay soap was the boiled
borscht.
Potato. Yeah.
Oh, the soap is the potato.
Yes. So I looked it up because I was like, what is that? And I think that it was called a solution called potassium permanganate, which was a purple solution historically used for feminine hygiene. This was used also to attempt to prevent pregnancies or infections. So it makes sense that they might use it in a brothel to clean up the area before they went with these guys to prevent pregnancy and possibly spreading whatever. So I think that was what it was. I had never heard of it. So other Hollywood luminaries also wanted to show Mickey the ropes, including Phil Silvers. They went to a brothel and had a bet at some point who would last the longest. Mickey won with 20 minutes. And Silvers was like baffled by this. And he actually cornered the woman afterwards. Did Mickey really last for 20 minutes? And she said, are you kidding? 4 minutes of fucking and 16 minutes of imitations. Mickey said she had the numbers right, but the order was wrong. I've always found that it's better to get women laughing first. I'd be out if you started with imitations. It would last 1 minute.
I believe that 100%.
I do too. I didn't know where that story was going when I read it, and I laughed because I was like, oh my God.
I honestly believe part of the kink for Mickey is like doing his little impressions.
Yeah.
But either before or after sex.
Oh my God. So in 1939, Mickey got his first real Oscar nomination with The Young Thomas Edison. He was also named the top box office star, and he began an affair with one of MGM's top stars, Norma Shear, who was already a widow. She had been married to Irving Thalberg, the MGM wonder boy who died very young, and he initially resisted her advances. She's only like 39, and she's like 19. So,
but she's an older woman.
She's a much older woman, yeah, but she's not like, sometimes if you hear widow, you might think she's older.
Right.
Older. So he's like, she wanted me, and she was hotter than a half-fucked fox in a forest fire.
I cannot imagine dating a 19-year-old at my age.
Seriously. And she kind of just wanted him to fuck. She didn't want a relationship with him.
Okay, well,
which
that
makes
makes more
sense.
sense.
So they started fucking nonstop, even on set. Like, they were fucking everywhere. And when Mayer found out about it, he sent Eddie Mannix to Mickey to put the kibosh on the affair. So not everyone was hot for Mickey Rooney. When he got the cover of Time magazine for his role in Young Thomas Edison, writer James Agee wrote this accompanying article. Here's a clip from that article. Or here's Mickey's assessment. He said, Mr. Agee didn't like me. He'd never met me, but he thought he knew me as a, quote, rope-haired, kazoo-voiced kid with a comic strip face who until this week had never appeared in a picture without mugging or overacting in it.
Honestly, he clocked him. Can I just say, if I had to describe Mickey Rooney as an instrument, he would 100% be a kazoo.
Yeah.
Like, what is that?
I mean, James Agee is a great writer, so I was excited because I was like, oh, he's going to say exactly what I want him to say, and he did not disappoint. He also said that to a large part of the more articulate U.S. cinema audience, his name was becoming a frequently used synonym for brat.
Oh.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Would Mickey have been in Bop or Teen Beat?
Oh.
He probably would have.
He would have, but he would have been the one I was like, what? No one likes him. Who would he have been?
Yeah, he would have been
I don't want to insult anyone.
No, there always was that one guy that was
was kind of like when Stand By came out.
Stand By Me.
I'm sorry, Stand By Me. Yeah, Stand By Me. And it was like, Jerry O'Connell, come on. It's like, we like River Phoenix, maybe Will Wheaton and what's his face?
Well, we love
Corey Feldman.
Look,
but I was like, back then,
well, they couldn't have just had the three of them and then left Jerry O'Connell out.
I'm just saying, as a child, I was like, he seems nice, but come on. Do you know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. It's awful.
I was trying to think of someone who was like comparable, where they had to put him in, but it was like, no one's crushing on this guy.
Oh my! Well, he had the last laugh because he had a glow up.
He had a huge glow up, and I think he laughs at himself.
Of
all
course,
the time too. He's very in on it.
He seems like a nice guy.
He does. I just saw something recently where someone was trying to be mean to him about that, and he's like, yeah, but that kid had a huge glow up and married a model actress. So
yeah,
yeah,
he married Rebecca Romaine.
But there were other guys. It would be like having Urkel in or something. So I'm just trying to think of someone.
Is Mickey Rooney the Urkel of his day?
I don't know.
Absolutely celebrated when he first came out, and then after a few years, everyone was like, enough.
He wore out his welcome. Right? Yeah. I don't know.
To be fair, I do think Jaleel White is one of the most talented child actors of all time.
I mean, he's very you know him.
I'm just saying, as an actor, just purely as like an artist, as an actor, like, it's so hard to say this because Urkel is like such a huge joke. It's like, whatever, it's Steve Urkel. But like, you watch those like early Family Matters episodes where he was like first introduced, and you're like, this is like a kid doing this. He's incredible.
Right. He was a natural talent.
Yeah.
And had great comedic timing.
But he just became Urkel.
Because that could have gone off the rails and been just completely horrible. And I think it was a one-time slot that they expanded.
He was that good that they were like, fuck the Winslows. This is the Urkel show now.
Yes. Yeah, so I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I wonder what, obviously he's getting a lot of tail in Hollywood. But were people crushing on him? Like fangirling him?
I bet they were.
I bet they were too. Because he has that kind of he's so innocent. Like, you know how there's a set of girls, not me, because I was like the bad boy, that like the innocent guy who's kind of not sexually imposing. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Kind of like early Bieber. He kind of was so innocent.
Right.
So people like that, I think. Like there's girls who
He's
like
non-threatening.
That. Non-threatening, yes.
We like the threatening guys.
We want to be threatened.
Whatever that says about us.
I feel like you fall into one or two categories.
We always like the guys who had problems.
Yes. I was like the River Phoenix girl.
Same.
Yeah, I was like that guy. I can help him.
I like the guys I could fix. I like the rock guys.
I also liked, what's the guy, Sasha? I liked him for a while. from Step by Step. Oh, wait, what was he on?
Yeah, Step by Step.
Yeah, Sasha.
Sasha Mitchell.
Yes, Sasha Mitchell.
Dude,
he turned into a disaster.
We covered him on an episode. Oh my God.
There's so many.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mickey, he didn't let this article get him down. After all, who's James Agee? He is invited to FDR's presidential ball.
Oh my
with
God.
the who's who of Hollywood. And it was there that he met an attractive brunette who invited him to her hotel room after a night of dancing at this ball. He said when he arrived in her suite, she was kneeling on a couch in the sitting room, and she said, "You came." And he said, "Yes, and so will you." He said she smiled and opened her arms. I went to my knees and buried my face in her bosom. She sighed and eased the thin straps of her gown from her shoulders. She was braless, and I admired her breasts with enthusiasm.
He did this at the inauguration party?
Soon we moved toward the bedroom, leaving a trail of our evening wear along the way.
Wait, where is this party?
I guess it's at her hotel, so it's not at the White House.
Okay, I thought it was like at the White House.
She spoke in an upper-class whisper, the kind they teach the girls at exclusive academies. "Oh, Mickey, I do so love your bulls."
Bulls?
That's how he spells it. Bulls. Since she was fondling them at the time, I had no difficulty figuring out what the hell she was talking about. But her choice of words weren't always upper class. She talked rather like a Winnemucca whore also. "Oh, Mickey, deeper, harder, faster." And then in the morning, after a full night of this, I was not at all surprised when she told me her name. She was the heiress to the DuPont chemical fortune.
I love it.
So this obviously didn't last long because on the set of his next film, Babes on Broadway, while he's wearing a Carmen Miranda costume, he meets another gorgeous brunette, Ava Gardner.
Oh, yes.
Now, she is a new contract player at the time, and according to Mickey, the most gorgeous woman he's ever seen. He immediately asked her to join him for dinner that night, and she said she was busy. He would later tell his friends he was going to marry her. He asked her out 5 more times, and she said no. Finally, he sent someone to ask for him, and this guy told her how much Mickey would do for her career, so maybe she should consider going out with him. When he asked her next time, he invited her and her sister to Chasen's, and that finally made her agree to going out with him. So I do want to take this time to say that we did a whole series on Ava Gardner. We go into a lot of this there, so I'm not going to get too deep with it, but I'll give some of Mickey's perspective on their relationship. But I do highly recommend that series because I think it was really good. So they continue to go out. Not much happens. Ava is very cool towards him. He finally drops her off after a late night of dancing at Ciro's, and he asks her to marry him. And she laughs. Like, she finally kind of cracks because this is so ridiculous. He's like, she's like, you're crazy. Like, this is crazy. And he does finally, like, he hasn't even kissed her yet. This is like how crazy this is.
Honestly, Mickey does seem like a love bomby type.
Yeah, I agree. He continues to take her out and continues to ask her to marry him. And Ava is like, let's talk about it more. Like, I don't want to just do this. Like, we're not going to get married. And he gets impatient because he's not used to the celibate life, according to him. And then he's like, if I don't get her in bed soon, I'm going to burst.
Jesus.
He said something had to give. And what changed things was on December 7th, 1941, Japan bombed Pearl Harbor. That's according to him. And that, I guess she was like, well, maybe I'll marry you. That kind of changed. Everyone was sort of freaked out, I guess.
Yeah.
So I kind of get that thing. Sometimes a huge world event happens and people are like, maybe we should have a kid or whatever.
Right.
So he buys a big diamond ring, waits for the right time. Christmas Eve, which is her birthday, her 19th birthday at Romanoff's. He's like, as serious as he's ever been in his life. Will you marry me? I'm not kidding. And she's like, fine, I'll marry you, Mickey.
Romanoff's is one of those old LA restaurants I always wish I could have gone to.
Yeah, I agree. So now at this point, though, he's like, let's get married tomorrow. because he's like, I want to fuck you right away. And
Oh my
she wants to be a
God.
virgin on her wedding night. Louis B. Mayer is not happy. He forbids the marriage initially before finally agreeing to it, but it's going to be another MGM production. They're going to have all these guys there, stars there and whatever. So the marriage happens in Santa Barbara, and it's their wedding night. He gets so drunk that when they get back to their room, he takes his pants off and lies in bed and passes out. So she comes out like in her lingerie, and he's like snoring.
What an idiot.
And he said this is just the beginning of our troubles. He says the next morning, I leave and go to Pebble Beach Golf Course. He says at some point about their honeymoon, I played golf. I was looking at the wrong hole.
I'm sorry, that is so vulgar.
It's really vulgar. They did finally fuck night 2. And for Mickey, it was the perfect honeymoon. Sex and golf and sex and golf.
Ew.
But he never thought to ask Ava, was it the perfect honeymoon for her? And I can tell you right now, it wasn't.
No.
Because we talked about this. No one wants to talk about golf or have you go golfing. What's she doing?
Right.
She's in the room alone.
What an ass.
This is crazy. But she did want a lot of sex, and they had like this sex life that hid all the issues that they had because they just were not a match, but they fucked a lot. So let's get into some more of Mickey's erotica.
Wait. Oh no. Is this from his book?
Yes. He says in bed, let's just say that Ava was, well, she had this little rosebud down there at the center of her femininity that seemed to have a life of its own. I'm not talking about muscles. One gal I knew had trained her muscles so she could snap carrots in her pussy. No hands. Ava had something different. She had this little extra. It was almost like a warm little mouth that would reach up and grab me and take me in and make my heart swell. She also had big brown nipples. Which, when aroused, stood out like some double, long, golden California raisins. No, Stop. And when I sucked those warm breasts, I did taste her mother's milk. Ew. Is that true? So gross. How can he make her sound so unappealing?
This is disgusting.
So he said they were both athletic in bed and very verbal. And Ava would also often lose her Southern, shyness, and she would use the F word a lot. I mean, we know Ava.
We know
she was
Ava,
a broad. Come
but
on.
the sound of Mickey's voice in bed while you're fucking is so gross to me.
So she would say things like, let's fuck Mickey now. Some years later, Hedda Hopper would say of Ava, the girl was made to love and be loved. And I had to agree with that judgment. So the marriage was not good, and Mickey was not attentive to her needs outside of the sex. And at some point, she announces to him that she's moving back to live with her sister in her apartment on Franklin Avenue. He's like, go ahead, because he had been drinking. And she's like, Mick, I'm goddamn tired of living with a midget. And she ran out and left. Now, he says, this taunt hurt me more than I wanted to admit. I didn't ask to be short. I didn't want to be short. I've tried to pretend that being a short guy didn't matter. Sometimes it was an asset. It helped me get in and out of crowds, into movies for half price until I was 35, out of fights with big bruisers. I compared myself to Toulouse-Lautrec or Willie Shoemaker, the jockey who became a millionaire. I joked, I wouldn't be a billionaire if I was anything but short. And it gave me a unique repertoire of jokes that taller guys couldn't tell. Like, so I'm in this bar the other day and I walk up to this big blonde and I go, what do you say to a little fuck? And she smiles, looks down at me and goes, hi, little fuck. But in truth, I didn't really like it very much. I tried to make up being short by having a strut, like I was a guy who knew where he was going, by adopting the voice of a much bigger man, by spending more money than I had, by tipping double or triple, by winning tennis tournaments I should have lost, by dating tall, beautiful women you'd be more likely to see on the arm of an all-American forward at UCLA. But nothing I could do, now that Ava had left me, would add an inch to my height or to my self-esteem. I lost my zip.
My zip?
He lost his zip. Eddie Mannix does try to intervene They didn't want their biggest star to be depressed, and he did get them back together temporarily, but Ava eventually files for divorce, and Mickey is left heartbroken. He knows men will be lined up by the hundreds to have her next. He decided to refocus on his career, and with that, we will end this episode and be back next week with more of Mickey Rooney.
Oh, my God.
Sorry for the erotica.
No,
I had to,
great.
though.
We
It's
have
so
to.
gross.
This is what we asked for. This is what the people want to hear.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is what I was expecting, and you delivered. So thank you for that.
Good.
I'm excited for the next parts in this series.
Yeah, I feel like it's possible it'll be 3 episodes, but I just don't know yet.
Okay.
There's so much, so it's like hard to say.
I mean, I'm fine with 3 episodes.
I think it'll be, I'll only do it if it's like 3 juicy episodes.
Okay, we'll make it juicy.
Yeah. So next week, we'll get into more of his career. We'll get into Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
That'll be a huge segment because I'm absolutely fascinated. I love that movie, but it's such a
It has such a
horrible
stain on it.
Yeah.
It has such a stain on it.
Yeah, so we have a lot to get into. And then his older life, there's so much to get into. So yeah, it probably will be 3 episodes.
Okay, good.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.